Mary Hayes, Director of the Dublin Regional Homeless Executive. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks a million for coming in to us, Mary. Can we? We're interested in talking to you, I suppose, about your response to. There has been criticism from local politicians. They say they weren't told of plans to create homeless accommodation at the vacant pub in Ringsend. They're saying there needs to be a better communication strategy from the Dublin Regional Homeless Executive. I suppose your response to some of the criticism in the last few days.
Thanks, Jane. I guess for me, the most important thing is that we don't lose sight of what happened there. There was a criminal act, a very deliberate arson. For me, what the most important message for me is that we lost accommodation for 12 to 14 families that would have been going in there in February. That is what matters. It is not. It is not because residents in Ringsend protested. It is not because of a communication strategy that the place was burnt down. That's a criminal act, and I think it's important to keep the separation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a point we have made ourselves on the show this morning or in previous mornings. I think it's a really reasonable point to make. That's it. Your response to the criticism, though, that the communication should have been better.
And I absolutely understood that when I sent out the statement, I understood that it was taken up that I had contacted everybody, and I can easily see how that happened. I corrected that as quickly as I could. I mean, I've no issue. I have absolutely no issue with that. I would say there was communication. I was in close contact with people, with local politicians who were on the ground and who had contacted me directly. There was, we had confirmed to the media, which is a departure from what we would normally do, and we had in this case because there was so much fear mongering, I suppose, in terms of.
So it was actually out there in the media.
Oh yeah, we had confirmed in media reports before Christmas that it was, and that and also some local politicians, they were actively on the ground. One of them had asked it for me in writing. I gave it in writing before Christmas, and they were dealing with residents
saying specifically
that it was for use for it was for family accommodation.
Okay.
Because even when I looked at it at the beginning, when we were looking at that, we have a process in terms of how emergency accommodation comes into us. We have an open tender. We were originally considering it for a single accommodation, and we looked at the area, the facilities, the location, and we opted for family accommodation. We confirmed all of that.
And it was out there in the media before Christmas.
It was in the media before Christmas, yes.
So do you find it frustrating then when people say, we didn't know about this?
No, I accept the point. I mean, I think it's reasonable. The councillors make a fair point that once I was going out to the media and I was speaking to specific councillors, it's reasonable enough. I probably should have considered sending them all a formal communication. I don't have any great issue with that, and I think that's not unreasonable. But it's just, I would say to you that it is not normally what we would do.
Yeah, I want to tease that out a little bit more. Tell us why you tend not to issue sort of formal notices to councillors about the use of a building for homeless accommodation.
It's not so much to councillors, it's not, for me, I suppose what I'm concerned about is the people who are using the service. And I guess for me, there's two things. The absolute imperative for me is that I have enough accommodation to place people in. That's really important. And also that people who are using that accommodation or who find themselves homeless are treated with dignity and not stigmatised. And I suppose for us, our current policy would be, it depends on the service. So if we're opening a new service where there hasn't been a development before, then there is a consultation period that goes to area committee, etc. But if we're using a guest house or a hotel or commercial facility that was, previously would have been tourist or tourist class, and we're now placing people in it because they are homeless, we don't necessarily advertise that or say to people, look,
you don't want to put a big sign over the door effectively
you
saying,
have to think, you have kids going out to school every day, you have people working, I guess. I've been working in homelessness 30 years. I think when we talk about homelessness, we really, really think about the chronic, when we talk about it in the media, we think about chronic homelessness, people with addiction, rough sleepers. Most of homelessness are people who come and go out of homelessness as quickly as they can, and what they have is a housing need, and they are working, they are living their lives, and they just have this extra stress. And I suppose I'm very conscious of that, but I understand, and that is not to take from the fears that people have in the community, because you have to understand that I suppose when we talk about homelessness, we often talk about a different thing. We talk about a small cohort within homelessness.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, always curious about the notion, and a little bit, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sceptical of the notion of consultation when people talk about consultation. Now, look, I'm not saying there shouldn't be consultation, but I do sometimes wonder, is that shorthand for a veto?
Well, actually, Councillor Chu made that very point, I think,
Hazel
Chu made it yesterday.
Councillor,
yeah. And I think it is an excellent point in a sense, is that it shouldn't be taken that because you shouldn't be taken that because you can consult that means a veto, and that can sometimes, in terms of protests and stopping building, stopping works, that is that is, I suppose, almost trying to veto or trying to stop the work. So there is that fine line between communication and veto. I think it's a very good point you made.
Do you encounter much opposition when you're placing homeless people in accommodation in various areas? Is it something? Is there generally opposition to
No,
this?
it's a mixed bag. And I mean, you do have to think, I suppose, it is what I said to you, that if you're placing, if you're opening a single hostel, which is, high support needs, you can understand that people have fears and concerns. And we do, that's where you would have a lot of work, I suppose, trying to make sure that you're mitigating all those risks for people. In other areas, we've good contact with residents committees, etc. That people will contact us as soon as there's a problem. We have a complaints officer, we have property officers, we get out and we fix the problem as quickly as we can. So it depends. Services bed down over time.
Okay. Some councillors have said they're quoted saying they expect an apology for inferring that local councillors had been contacted. Should they get an apology in relation to that particular point?
Oh, I mean, I corrected straight away. I corrected with both councillors in relation to in relation to how what I had said had been picked up. I mean, that's not the issue. I think the bigger issue around how it's the bigger issue around arson and around the fear and the climate that we're working in. That's a much bigger issue for the council, and I think that's what we'll be focusing on. I expect we have a council meeting next Monday night. We have a special committee for homeless housing SPC. That's what I think we'll be focusing on the next coming
Yeah.
weeks.
Is this a distraction for you in terms of, because you've an important job to do?
We just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? There's
You
just
don't get
you
distracted.
just get on with it.
Yeah.
You don't have time.
How challenging is it at the moment finding accommodation for homeless people? I'm sure, for example, that arson attack in Ringsend, that's a huge setback. Because I mean, how many people were going to be housed there?
14 families. There was provision for, say, 70 individual beds, but that's about 12 to 14 families, depending on family sizes. It was challenging before this. I'm very worried about what happens now.
Really? Is it just the difficulty in sourcing
The
accommodation?
difficulty in sourcing, the fear that's there, that fear mongering and stoking in the community, that scares me. That element of that criminal element, and that preys on fear and dissension in communities, that is a worry to me. That will affect us all.
Do we just need to tone down the rhetoric a little bit? All of us, maybe, including in the media, including politicians, including, I suppose, all of us,
I
basically.
think we have to be mindful. And I would say to you, in Dublin City Council, I think my experience of Dublin City councillors is there's a lot of cohesion on inclusion, on social inclusion. In general, people really stand strongly, firmly behind good principles and fair principles within the council, and I hope we continue.
Okay. Well, look, the Dublin Region Homeless Executive does an extraordinary job in difficult circumstances. Thank you indeed for coming in to us this morning, Mary Hayes, the Director of the Dublin Region Homeless Executive.